The clock struck midnight, but I was still alive. My mother died 3 years ago, and the clock never chimed for her. It was a clock that only chimed when her heart stopped, but it had been silent for 3 years since she passed. Now, it chimed at 3 a.m., the exact time of her death. I held the clock in my hand, its cold metal against my skin, and felt the weight of the silence. It was the only sound in the house that night, and it was the only sound that mattered. I'd always known this clock was special, but I never imagined it would be my mother's last gift. The silence was deafening, and I knew it was the beginning of something terrible. I found it hidden in the attic, but it was too late. The clock was buried under layers of dust and forgotten things, but the weight of it pulled me back. My grandfather had left it to me, saying it was the only thing that could keep the family alive. I'd always been told it was a family heirloom, but now I understood it was a curse. As I lifted it from the box, the silence broke. The clock began to chime, but not in the usual pattern. It rang once, a low, mournful tone that echoed in the room. I dropped the clock, and it hit the floor with a soft thud. The chime faded, but the silence returned, heavier than before. The chimes were counting down to my death. I counted them in my head, 1, 2, 3, my mother died at 3 a.m. My grandmother at 3 p.m. My grandfather at 3 a.m. The pattern was clear, it was the time of their deaths. But the clock had been silent for 3 years. That meant my turn was coming. I ran my fingers over the clock's surface, feeling the cold metal and the hidden mechanism. It was the only thing that could hear the dead, but it had been silenced by my family's fear. I had to break the silence before it was too late. The clock held a secret that would change everything. I found a hidden compartment behind the clock's face, containing a small journal. The pages were filled with my mother's handwriting, detailing the family's curse, a clock that only chimes at the moment of death, but it must be broken to prevent the next death. My mother had been the last guardian, and she had left it to me. The journal said, "The clock is a living thing. It speaks when it is needed. The last chime is for the one who can break it." I held the journal, the words burning in my mind. If I could break the clock, I could save the family from the curse. My family had been afraid of the clock for generations. They said it was the only thing that could keep us alive, but they also said it was the only thing that could kill us. My grandmother had died before I was born, and my mother had been the last one to hear the clock's chimes. They believed the clock was a warning, but it was something more. It was a living thing that could communicate with the dead, but only the last guardian could hear it. My mother had been the last guardian, and she had been trying to break the curse for years. But she died before she could. Now, it was my turn. The clock chimed at 3 a.m. It rang once, a soft, mournful tone that echoed in the room. I closed my eyes, feeling the vibration in my chest. The chime was the same as the one my mother had heard before she died. I opened my eyes, and the clock was silent again. But I knew it was the first chime of the new cycle. The clock was alive, and it was speaking to me. It was telling me that the curse was real, and I was the last guardian. I had to break it before it was too late. I saw my mother's last moments. The clock was ringing, and she was standing in the doorway, her face pale. She held the clock in her hands, tears streaming down her face. She whispered, "The clock is my heart. It will tell you when it's time." But she didn't get to tell me. She died before she could. I felt the clock's vibration in my chest, the same as when I held it in my hands. It was the only thing that could hear her, but she was gone. Now, it was my turn to hear it. The clock had a message for me. As I held it, I felt a warmth in my chest. The vibration was stronger than before, and I knew it was speaking to me. The message was simple: you are the last guardian. The clock is your heart. Break it, or the family dies. I had to break it before it was too late. But how? The clock was a living thing, and it was my heart. I had to find the way to break it without killing myself. They had been lying to me for years. My family had always said the clock was a blessing, but it was a curse. They had hidden the truth from me, telling me it was a family heirloom, but it was the last guardian. My mother had been the last guardian, and she had tried to break the curse, but she died before she could. My grandfather had been the first guardian, and he had died before the curse began. The family had been afraid of the clock for generations, but they were the ones who had to face it. Now, it was my turn to be the last guardian. The clock was almost ready to break. I had spent weeks trying to understand the message, but the clock was growing stronger. The vibration in my chest was getting stronger, and I knew it was speaking to me. The clock was a living thing, and it was my heart. I had to break it before it was too late. I closed my eyes and focused on the vibration. I could feel it, the clock's pulse. It was time to break it. I had to make the decision. The clock was vibrating in my chest, and I knew it was time. I opened my eyes, and the clock was silent. But the vibration was still there. I had to break it. I placed my hand on the clock and felt the warmth. The clock was my heart, and it was speaking to me. I had to trust it. I took a deep breath and let go of the clock. It fell silent, but I knew it was broken. The clock was broken. I held the pieces in my hands, feeling the warmth. The vibration in my chest was gone, but I knew it was broken. The family was safe. The curse was broken. I had been the last guardian, and I had broken it. The clock had been my heart, but it was now gone. I felt the weight of the silence, but it was different. It was lighter. The family was safe, and I had saved them. The clock was never a clock. It was my heart. The chimes were my thoughts. The silence was my life. I had been the last guardian, and I had broken the curse. The family was safe, and I had saved them. The clock had been my heart, and it was now gone. But I knew it was real. It was me. I am the last guardian. The clock is broken, but it is still in me. The family is safe, and I have saved them. The silence is lighter now. The clock was my heart, but it is now gone. But I know it will return. It will be with me forever. I am the last guardian, and I have broken the curse. The family is safe, and I have saved them. The clock is my heart, and it is now gone. But I know it will return.